This is something that we just had to share with you, because it's probably one of the scariest things ever recorded in history. A man called Harry Street decided to go visit his late grandmother's house after it had been empty for a while, and what he discovered there would haunt him forever. Before we get into it though, make sure to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already for more content. Before we start, please take some time to subscribe. It really helps me out and means that you won't miss any of my videos. It all started back in 2017 when Harry Street decided to pay a visit to his late grandmother's home. His grandmother had passed away a few years before, and since then, the home had remained abandoned. So Harry decided to finally go check it out and see how it was doing. But what he found inside would haunt him forever. As he walked through the house, he began to notice strange things here and there. At first, it was just small things like lights turning on and off by themselves, doors opening and closing, and even some shaking in the walls. He thought maybe it was just an old house settling. After all, it was quite old. So Harry continued to walk around. Then he started noticing other things that were a little more disturbing. For example, he found muddy footprints in the middle of rooms. These weren't his. He checked his shoes, and they were completely clean. He also noticed scratches on the walls and windows that looked like they were made by fingernails. And then there were the voices, faint whispers coming from the walls that seemed to say his name, even though he was the only person in the house. Was he going crazy? Had his mind finally snapped? Maybe. But he pressed on. He wanted to see what else he could find. As he climbed the stairs to the second floor, he heard a knock. A loud, heavy knock that sounded like someone was using a hammer. He turned around, but there was no one there. Then he felt it, a cold, bony finger on his neck. He screamed and ran out of the house, not stopping until he was far away. That was the first time that he experienced these things. But it wouldn't be the last. In the following weeks, he tried to convince himself that it was all in his head, that an old house was just playing tricks on him. But then the phone calls started. Harry would be going about his day when suddenly his phone would ring. He would pull it out, and there would be a call from an unknown number. When he answered, though there was nothing on the other end, just silence. Sometimes he would hear faint whispers or what sounded like screams in the background, but no one ever said a word to him. They never did anything other than call and then hang up. And it was always the same number. It wasn't a local number either. It was his grandmother's old number, the one that she had at the house. Why were they calling him from her old house? How was that even possible? And that's when he decided to do something about it. He went back to the house, and this time he brought a camera crew with him. He wanted to document everything and capture whatever was happening on camera, so he could finally get some answers. But what he captured would shock him. As they walked through the house, they heard footsteps, heavy footsteps, like someone was stomping around above them. They looked around, but there was no one there. Then, the camera started picking up strange things. Objects moving on their own, doors opening and closing, even apparitions in the background. There were also strange whispers that seemed to follow them around the house. Harry didn't know what to think. Was there really a ghost haunting him, or was his mind playing tricks on him again? But then the camera caught something that made their blood run cold. An apparition of a woman in a Victorian nightgown standing at the top of the stairs. She was pale and emaciated, with long, greasy hair and a face full of wrinkles. Her eyes were wide and staring, and she seemed to be staring right at them. They tried to speak, but no words came out. They were frozen in fear. The apparition floated down the stairs, and then it vanished. After that, they packed up and left. Harry couldn't take it anymore. He needed to get away from the house and all the strange things that were happening there. But the mystery didn't end there. In the following months, Harry would experience other things that he couldn't explain. He would wake up in the middle of the night and swear that he could hear his grandmother's voice calling him. Sometimes he would hear footsteps in his apartment, even though he lived alone. And then there were the phone calls. They kept coming, day and night. He would pick up, and there would be nothing on the other end, just silence. Sometimes he would hear faint whispers or what sounded like screams in the background, but no one ever said a word to him. They never did anything other than call and then hang up. And it was always the same number. It wasn't a local number either. It was his grandmother's old number, the one that she had at the house. Why were they calling him from her old house? How was that even possible? He tried to ignore it at first, thinking that it would eventually stop. But it didn't. It just kept going on, and it got worse. He started having nightmares about the house and the apparition that he had seen on camera. In his dreams, she would reach out to him with long, bony fingers and drag him down the stairs. He would scream and try to pull away, but he couldn't. She was too strong. And then he would wake up, gasping for air. Harry knew that he had to do something. He couldn't let this continue. He was losing his mind. So he went back to the house one last time. This time, he brought a priest with him. He wanted to see if maybe this was a religious problem that needed a religious solution. But what happened next would shock them both. As they walked through the house, the priest began to chant and bless the rooms. Harry watched nervously. Would this help? Or was it all just a waste of time? Then it happened. The apparition appeared at the top of the stairs again. This time, though, it was different. She was more solid, more real. And then she started to speak. Her voice was raspy and weak, like that of an old woman. She spoke in Latin, and Harry didn't understand what she was saying, but the priest did, and his face turned pale. The ghost was speaking about a curse that had been placed on the house and everyone who lived there. She said that she had been the previous owner and that she had put a curse on the house because she was angry about something. She said that she wanted revenge on anyone who lived there, especially the men. Harry and the priest looked at each other in horror. Was this the reason that Harry had been experiencing all those strange things? Was this why his grandmother had died? And then the ghost vanished. The priest finished his chant and blessed the house one last time. Then he and Harry left. Harry felt like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. Maybe now everything would go back to normal, but it never did. In the following days, Harry began to notice strange things again, things that he couldn't explain. He would wake up in the middle of the night and swear that he could hear his grandmother's voice calling him. And then there were the phone calls. They kept coming, day and night. He would pick up, and there would be nothing on the other end, just silence. Sometimes he would hear faint whispers or what sounded like screams in the background, but no one ever said a word to him. They never did anything other than call and then hang up. And it was always the same number. It wasn't a local number either. It was his grandmother's old number, the one that she had at the house. Why were they calling him from her old house? How was that even possible? But now there was something else, something that made the whole thing even more terrifying. The camera footage. Harry had forgotten about the camera footage that he had shot in the house. He had put it on a hard drive and put it away. But now he couldn't find it anywhere. He searched his apartment, but it was nowhere to be found. He knew that it was on there. He had seen it with his own eyes, but now it was gone. What do you think happened to Harry? Did he finally snap and lose his mind? What about the ghost? Is she still haunting the house? And what about the camera footage? What did it show? We may never know the answers to these questions. But one thing is for sure. The mystery of the house on the hill will continue to haunt us all. Did you enjoy this video? If so, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more content.